Can I say one thing to your point about evangelicals, which because I have a lot of free time, I've been just like very interested in the roots of how evangelicals became such a potent political force. And in some ways, it's a homecoming for them, right? It was 1980, and it was really school desegregation efforts, and it was the Bob Jones fight against the IRS that brought evangelicals into the movement.
Explain the Bob Jones fight.
Bob Jones Christian University, and they basically outlawed interracial dating on the campus of Bob Jones University. There was another school involved in the suit that didn't allow black people in the school at all. That was the thing, not abortion, not busing, but really desegregation was the thing that brought evangelicals into the movement, into the political movement of the right wing, under the auspices of, free religion and free speech and what Christian, institutions should be allowed to do. But really, at its core, it was race. And in some ways, we think about evangelicals and Trump as being so different, right? These godly, faithful people and this unfaithful person who's been found guilty in civil trial of sexual assault. The issue of race animates Donald Trump. The issue of race has long animated the evangelical movement. And in some ways, it makes perfect sense that you're seeing the unity that you are today.
And I'm so glad you said that, because Chris Hayes, I think, made a really excellent point that you're seeing this sort of disconnect between a president that is a white working class guy himself and that keeps doing all of these things that disproportionately benefit white working class Americans in red states. And their reaction to him is they hate him more, like the more he does. And it is because the most economically vulnerable voters tend to be young voters who tend to be more voters of color. They're economically vulnerable, and they tend to hold the president to account if they can't afford their lives or can't pay their student loans. They vote that way. But Republican voters don't vote that way. They don't vote based on economics or based on the benefits they're getting economically from the president. They're increasingly, from the Tea Party on, they're voting on race. They're voting on this idea of an invasion of brown people over the border, the idea that they can't get whatever job they want, a black person got it, therefore drive all the blacks out of the colleges, get rid of DEI. That is what they're voting on. They're just voting specifically on racial animus at this stage. It isn't about economics.
No, which is why Trump killed the immigration bill.
Correct.
That's why. And because otherwise, he can't run against the other and brown people and people who don't look like him, like his supporters, his base of supporters, coming across the border and scaring people and killing people or whatever he's threatening out there. I mean, if you look at some of these exit polls, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the #1 issue. I mean, again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very, very contested area.
Build the wall. Like, what? I mean, when I was in New Hampshire, people were talking about the northern border as a threat, because Trump has indoctrinated people with this fear of people who do not look like them being a threat to them.
But as and every election cycle, particularly when there's a Democratic incumbent, we get reminded about the borders. And the borders become a thing again, and then if there's a Republican in office, we don't think about them anymore. It's the deficit and the border. Like you make these things an issue, you make them into boogeymen, you make them into something that grabs you from under the bed at night as soon as you wake up. As long as there's a Democratic incumbent to blame on it, you make sure that nothing's ever done to fix either, and then you hope that people stop talking about them once you've got a Republican in office. It's just the same thing my entire adult life.
But the only difference now is they dropped the every 4 years part, and now all the programming about cities is the coded threat of crime and
Well, meanwhile, on Earth One, the FBI reports that violent crime in America is at a 50-year low.
And migrant crime is not a thing.
And migrant crime is not a thing. And you live on Earth One. But this is a very complicated concept, I know, because Fox News is right there.